Alrighty, so the new patch notes and stuff like that just came out for JP and Korea about 7-ish hours ago is when they translated a lot of the stuff. Unfortunately, I'm going to be uploading this the day after, so you guys are seeing it like tomorrow morning for me. But yeah, there's some pretty interesting stuff in here. It looks like we finally got some counters to the Purgatory Bond team, which is very interesting, and there's just some other sort of cool summer sort of things going on. Obviously, the patch that they got before, or the new character that they got before this one was the Summer Roxy and everything like that. So if you're not aware how this works, basically they're about a month ahead of us as far as JP and Korea goes than the global version. So this stuff should hit the global version of the game in roughly about a month or so. Because the next patch that we should be getting is going to be the Ragnarok patch, and then 2 weeks after that it will be the Summer Roxy patch, and then after that we will be getting this patch right here. So actually that's about a month and a half if I'm not mistaken, unless they did a banner back to back. I can't remember if it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago that Roxy came out. But yeah, it should be roughly about a month when we'll get this stuff on global. So let's go over it really quickly, and then we'll go over the new the character skills and stuff like that, which are pretty cool, honestly. So yeah, all right. First things first, the new units on the banner, it is going to be a 600 featured banner, which is kind of disappointing to see, to be honest. I would have rather them done like a step up where you go through one part of the step up to get one character, and then the second like half or like another step up full rotation to get the second character, because they've done that in the past before. And these don't really seem like they're going to be like, I mean, they're pretty good characters, which I think is the reason why they're kind of going for a 600 mileage here, which is pretty disappointing. But I mean, it is what it is, I guess. There's not really anything we can do about it. But then they have the character skills. We'll go over those at the end. But yeah, the new Merlin and the new Ellie Hawk, they were pretty much already leaked, and I remember going over them a little bit, and that was kind of interesting to see. It looks like the new Merlin is going to be a brand new variant of Merlin, so her cosmetics are not going to carry over, which is pretty disappointing, to be honest. Like, that's probably the biggest disappointment as far as the whole thing goes. So that kind of sucks. And then there's going to be special missions as well that give us tickets to summon on the banner, so you can kind of see what the SR or SSR variants of the characters look like here. It's just Ellie Hawk in like a summer like bikini sort of outfit, and then Merlin in a summer bikini sort of outfit as well, which is, I guess, okay. I mean, the old Merlin had a summer bikini outfit, I guess, and then it looks like the default for this one will be a summer bikini, so I guess that's nice. But yeah, they are going to be giving out some tickets and stuff like that. Here's the two units. This is what her shop costumes are going to look like, so they're both UR variants. This is the biggest thing that you can tell that this is going to be a new variant of Merlin, is that there's a lot of objects that float around her in her weapons now. Whereas the old Merlin was just like an orb. They would do different variants of like the little orb that would float around like in her hand. And then, yeah, so it looks like there's 4 different items: a book, a little like rolled up map sort of thing, a crystal, and then some sort of orb, which I guess it's not a crystal in every single one of them. But I kind of like the way that these look. Honestly, this like this one almost looks like more of like an astrologer kind of deal. I don't know, it looks kind of cool to me. And then this one looks more like a Japanese or Eastern sort of outfit, which I think is really cool as well. So I don't hate either one of these costumes. And then it looks like we are going to be getting some missions: log in 3 times, summon 1 time, enhance heroes 5 times, and then play Hawk's treasure hunt 10 times. And then that's going to get you 10 free tickets to do 1 free multi on the banner. But honestly, Roxy wasn't super interesting as far as I'm concerned, so this banner may be the one that you want to save up for at the moment if you're really wanting to try to go into PvP and stuff like that, because I honestly do think from the skills and stuff like that these two characters have, that they will be actually decently competitive in the meta. So like I said, we'll go over the skills in just a minute. Feel free to skip forward if you want to. I know some of this stuff really isn't all that important, so yeah. yeah, next up, Training Grotto Special Missions and Buff Event. I'm not exactly sure what, if any of these pictures are about the Buff Event, but I would assume there's going to be special Training Grotto missions that they've done before where you get extra rewards and stuff like that by doing Training Grotto. And then it says Buff Event, so I'm assuming the rewards might be better. I don't know exactly. Maybe the default rewards and stuff like that, so that hammers, anvils, and engraving stones and stuff like that might be a higher drop rate or just more when they do drop. I'm not exactly sure. We have a World Quest rerun, so that's kind of nice. They always end up giving you a pretty decent amount of materials and stuff like that from just these little like side story sort of quests and stuff like that, so that's kind of interesting. Login bonus, I think this one is the login bonus, so it looks like you were going to get 5 human tickets, 3 race draw 1 tickets, 3 race draw 2 tickets, an SSR part 1 ticket and a part 2 ticket, along with an SSR pendant and some treasure chests, which isn't anything too crazy. So yeah, that's kind of nice. And then the last thing, which is probably the best part, is the Hawk's Treasure Hunt, which, if we've done this in the past before, there's actually an interesting way that you can like cheese this event to pretty much roll the exact number that you want every time, if you're playing on an emulator, which is a little bit cheaty, but I mean, I don't know, it's kind of like pretty helpful to get all of the materials that you want and stuff like that. So yeah, these events are pretty decent, honestly. They give out pretty decent rewards and stuff like that, and along with that, it looks like they do like levels. There's 7 different levels to it, and then once you complete level 1, 3, and 5, you are going to get a free SSR outfit or a full costume for the new Merlin. So that's pretty nice. They'll at least give you some stuff for her. I think that they're giving away stuff for her specifically because it looks like, as far as I can tell, the new Ellie Hawk should still have a lot of the cosmetics and stuff like that from the old Ellie Hawks and stuff. So yeah, that should be kind of nice, which I actually don't know specifically if the old Ellie Hawks are considered to be goddess or not. But one thing that's really interesting is that the new one is goddess, so it looks like they are. So yeah, they should carry over all of the stuff and everything like that, so that'll be kind of nice. Other than that, that is pretty much it for that section. The last thing that they have is summer special daily missions, which I'm assuming are all of these. And if you don't know that they've done these kind of in the past, where they're like time attack missions, where each day you'll get 2 different challenges. You get an okay, like decent little set of rewards, just some kind of extra stuff for you to do each day. Nothing too crazy there. Diamond bonus event, which I'm not exactly sure. That might end up just being either like a perks reward, where if you spend money you get money back kind of thing, or not spend money, but if you spend diamonds you get diamonds back, or just other rewards and stuff like that. Or that might be them buffing the daily missions that they do every once in a while, where you get like double rewards and stuff like that, which is kind of interesting. And then they're doing a town donation reward event, so you know, the normal kind of thing where you get, I'm pretty sure you just get like different kinds of pendants and stuff like that depending on how much you donate. But the one thing that's really interesting is these boxes. He doesn't really go over the boxes at all, and I kind of wish he would have, because I don't know exactly what these are, but you get 2 boxes and it looks like they're tied to some sort of mission or something like that. But as far as I can tell, he doesn't go over that at all. But those seem kind of interesting. Those might have like a costume set or some sort of thing there, so that might be kind of cool. But let's go over the heroes really quickly, because they are probably the most interesting part of this. So it is a red Ellie Hawk, SSR Ellie Hawk, goddess race, and her passive seems to be the most interesting to me. So decreases the damage allies take from AoE skills or AoE attacks by 10% for each hero of goddess race in battle. So a lot of the people that have been playing right now are using like Tarmiel and stuff like that to kind of combat Bon, and you're going to be able to pair, it looks like, just any goddesses you have up with this new Ellie Hawk to prevent them from being able to do AoE damage to you, which is really, really nice. So that's pretty much like a direct counter to Bon, because his actual attack skill and his ultimate are both AoEs, which is really, really good. So it also goes on to say decreases the damage allies take from single target skills. So you can basically run this, they're basically future proofing the unit to where you can use it in both situations. So you might be able to run it against the one Escanor as well. Obviously she's red, so she's probably going to get taken down a little bit easier, but Decreases damage taken from single target attacks by 10% for each hero of unknown race in battle. And I'm assuming that they're doing that because Ellie, like Elizabeth, is a goddess and Hawk is an unknown race, but obviously this isn't like one of those dual units where it counts as one or the other. So I think that would have been kind of cool if they did do that, because they just did the new Sigurd card, the new Sigurd unit, where he is like a demon and he is a human at the same time because of his passive. I think if they would have done that for this unit, that would have been really, really cool. But obviously, that means that she'll pair really well with any of the unknown units or stuff like that if you're really wanting to run like single target defense, I guess. Just, I guess, to sort of compete against the one Escanor and stuff like that to make sure that he doesn't do nearly as much damage. So that'll be kind of interesting. So you can pair her with the new Merlin. Any of the unknown units and stuff like that from the ReZero collab would be really interesting as well. So those are all pretty interesting units and stuff like that. So it does not work in deathmatch, which is a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. I don't really expect them to, that seems pretty powerful. So running that in deathmatch would be pretty good. Anyways, going over the skills itself, Rolling Ham Spike inflicts damage equal to 250% of attack on all enemies, and this is at gold card level, so 3-star. Decreases skill ranks, then depletes the ultimate move gauge by the number of skill ranks decreased. So this is kind of like the green Elaine skill, if you're unaware, where basically you use the AoE card, it decreases their skill ranks, and depending on how many cards it D-ranks, it's going to take that much ultimate move gauge away from them. So that's actually really, really nice. So not only does it make his, using this against the Bond team, for example, you're going to be able to use this card, D-rank his attack cards and stuff like that, and it's going to D-rank their ultimate move gauge, so that way he can't rush his ultimate. So there's a little bit of stuff in here for everything, kind of. Like, this card literally is just like a direct counter to Bond. The only thing that I think would have made it better is if it was a blue card. That way it wouldn't have type disadvantage against the one Escanor, but there's already an SSR blue Ellie Hawk, so I think that's the only reason that they didn't do that. The other skill is decreases the attack related stats of all enemies by 40%. So this technically isn't super good against Bond because he uses his HP stat for all of his attacks and stuff like that, but the Merlin kind of has us covered a little bit on that regard. So this card is going to be really, really good against Escanor as well. Obviously he does get that every 3 turns immunity thing, so it's going to get rid of this debuff, unfortunately. But it could be good against other units as well. And then obviously it has the same sort of ultimate move that the other Ellie Hawks have, or at least the other SSR Ellie Hawk, which is pretty nice. They have a combined attack, which is really good, so that means you'll be able to use, I think this is all of the base melees, so like Tavern melee and counter melee and stuff like that. They will be able to be used as the sub slot, and you'll get a combined attack ultimate, which is really great because obviously they don't really do combined attack ultimates much anymore, which is kind of disappointing. So it's nice to see that, because this is technically like an older style of unit, we're going to be able to use the combined attack on that one, so that's kind of cool. Moving over to the Merlin, though, she is also very interesting. So, of course, she is a blue unit, which is kind of nice because the regular blue Merlin kind of sucks. Like, she's probably the least useful out of all of the Merlins as far as I'm concerned. But she is an unknown race, of course. Making a sandcastle is her unique, which is when the hero uses, or when, I'm assuming it's talking about this hero. So, when the hero uses 2 skills on an allied turn, disable the attack skills of all enemies for 1 turn. So, if you start the battle and you have, both of her skills, you can basically just use both skills on the first turn, and it's going to attack disable all of the enemies for 1 turn. And then when the hero uses 3 skills on an allied turn, prevents ultimate move gauge from filling up for 2 turns. So instead of getting the attack disable, it's going to basically lock their ultimate move gauge for 2 turns, which is actually really, really good. So you can either choose to kind of like at the start of your turn, you can either use both of the cards that you draw, or if you get really lucky and you do end up getting 3 cards, you could use that. But you're always going to start with 2 of her cards. You can just use those 2 cards to either attack disable for the first turn, or you can try to use some of the other characters' cards and then try to draw a 3rd card for her and then use her passive maybe the next turn or whenever you end up getting a 3rd card. So I think that is really interesting because I mean, obviously Bond doesn't have any way to keep debuffs off or anything like that unless they're using a Red Easton team, so that's probably going to be more relevant. Like, this is going to give people more of a reason to run Red Easton on the team, so if you don't have her, that might be a bit of an issue for you if you run the Bond team. But, you know, I think it's very, very cool. So not only does it attack disable him, so he can't use his, you know, normal detonate card, but if you use 3 skills, it's going to lock your ultimate move gauge, so you can't rush ultimate and just immediately annihilate somebody if you have a really high ultimate level. So very good counter. Her attacks, though, inflicts flood damage, so the kind of, you know, the big hitting card from Escanor inflicts flood damage on one enemy by 500% of attack, which is really, really good. So that's going to hit pretty hard. I think this is going to be an interesting card that she has too, because you're either going to need to run... she seems more of like a supporty style unit, so you might want to run HP defense on her. But at the same time, this card could end up hitting really, really hard, so you maybe could try to do like an attack defense set or something like that on her, which if you already have your Festival Merlin built out, like I do, you might already have an attack crit damage set that could potentially work. I might end up trying to mess around with both of those if I can end up getting the unit. So that could be pretty interesting. But yeah, I don't know. Pretty interesting card. Obviously it's flood, so it could end up doing a ton of damage, and she is a blue card, so she could end up bursting down either, you know, Excalibur Arthur or Purgatory Bond pretty quickly, potentially. I don't know. That's just on paper. It might not actually be all that good in practice, you know, with him having like 1,000 million HP. So Sandcastle is the other skill, inflicts damage equal to 180% of attack on all enemies, depletes 2 ultimate move gauge orbs at the end of the enemy's turn for 2 turns. So this is basically just going to be a dissolve card, kind of like Green Gother, which honestly is a really good card to have on just any of your units, because it seems like, you know, obviously you could run the new Ellie Hawk and the new Merlin with Gother already and just rank up your cards and stuff like that, or you could opt out of using Green Gother and just have the dissolve skill and try to run a separate unit, or you could potentially run maybe Red Gother, so that way you can attack seal and just use this Merlin to sort of put on the dissolves and stuff like that. So it kind of covers a little bit of your bases and makes it to where you can run other stuff, which I guess you wouldn't even really be able to run Green Gother with this unit anyway, because it's going to be an unknown race, so that way it messes up his passive. So yeah, running Red Gother would be the option there. Which you can already attack seal a little bit using her passive, but it might be a little bit more consistent. So that's kind of interesting. I like the fact that they're sort of making units that don't work as well with Green Gother, because Green Gother is a little bit more exclusive. It's harder for people to pull in. So she does have a new ultimate move. It's not the same ultimate as the old Merlin's, because this is a new variant. So it's really good against Bond directly. So it decreases HP related stats of all enemies by 30% for 2 turns and inflicts damage equal to 400% of attack. And then if you max it out completely, it decreases HP related stats of all enemies by 30% still for 3 turns instead of 2 turns, and then inflicts 600% of attack instead of 400. So it just does more damage, and you get an extra turn of HP related stats decreased. So honestly, it's not super pay to win or anything like that, which I like. I really don't like that they put the 6/6, you know, extra rupture kind of stuff on Bond's ultimate. I think that's really cheap. I think that is a really dumb move. So this one, it doesn't seem, you know, very crazy as far as like having to pay to win or anything like that. So honestly, these 2 units are really great. I think they're going to run really great in tandem with each other to really try to like screw over the Bond team. So these may end up being very, very meta relevant units. I think if you're really smart and you're just trying to go for pure PvP and stuff like that, you maybe want to skip Sigurd. He's pretty okay on the Bond team. I don't think he's like super great, but he's a pretty decent unit because he can be considered a human or a demon. So I think he's a really interesting unit because you can use him either on the Bond team or just, you know, as a human in general, and you can still use him on the Assault Mode Meliodas team. But I from what I've seen of JP in Korea, I don't think he's really going to bring the Assault Melee team like out on top over the Bond team or anything like that. So I don't know. You maybe want him for the Bond team if you're really like trying to get more out of the team, because he can be used as a human. But Blue Lost Vein doesn't really seem to be super crazy, and Thonar you get for free. So I don't know. We'll have to kind of like look at the whole pros and cons list whenever that banner comes out and everything like that. But this may be, if you're really PvP oriented, this might be the banner that you kind of just try to save your gems for and go, maybe in a little bit harder, or just you're not saving past this banner, because these actually seem like units that could be used potentially very well against the top meta team, which is Bond right now. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to look at it a little bit more once people have tested these units out, and we'll try to make sure that we look at it a little bit more whenever it's actually going to be coming out on the global version of the game, because then it'll actually affect us. So yeah, feel free to subscribe for more content in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.